What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again, once again, and today, people, we've got some orbs to ponder. So one of the things that Bungie has been trying to do moving forward into Witch Queen is nerf overall player power. From ability regeneration to supers and how all of those interconnected pieces of tech basically make us gods. And you know what? I get it. Honestly, I do. Because one of the most annoying things for Bungie must be balancing players versus encounters. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but Destiny really isn't that complex of a game. Sure, it has its moments, don't get me wrong, but most of its difficulty is either artificially created through modifiers that strip players of the ability to play the game like they normally would, as we see in GM Nightfalls, or mechanics that attempt to punish entire groups of players for the mistake of one player. This is why, for example, champions exist. Champions force players to use mods and loadouts that normally wouldn't be as advantageous as the meta. Bungie does this to shift power and slow players' progress through content. And it has to be artificial because short of creating mountains of content, which players will just burn through anyways, it's really all they can do. And that goes back to how Destiny's more designed as a looter shooter, not an actual MMO. All of these changes that are coming with Witch Queen and that came with the 30th anniversary are trying to accomplish one thing, and this is sort of a go slow update for the player base. The newest piece of the puzzle that has been unveiled for us to ponder is a change to how artifact mods will work, and a change to how Masterwork orb generation works. One of the consistent pieces of feedback that we've been wanting to act on for a while involves the unlocking of artifact mods. Starting in Season 16, players will no longer be limited to the number of artifact mods they can unlock. This means that players could feasibly unlock all 25 artifact mods by the end of a season. While we have made some small adjustments to the amount of EXP required to unlock artifact mods 1 through 12, in general, the pace of unlocking these first 12 artifact mods should be close to what we've seen in Season 15's artifact. For each unlock after 12, increased EXP will be required for the next artifact mod unlock. So, the choice of which order to unlock the mod still requires some decision making. And if you change your mind, you can still reset your artifact and make your picks again. When it comes to the artifact mods themselves, we are bringing back a few perennial favorite anti-champion mods, including anti-barrier scout rifles and bows, and have done some work to make disrupting an overload champion, which can be done this season with auto rifles and SMGs, more reliable than in previous seasons. We will also be highlighting the new glaive weapon archetypes coming in Witch Queen through a variety of artifact mods, including an option to make your glaive the solution to unstoppable champions, and have a few artifact mods that will enhance some of the new weapon perks. Alright. So this is nothing more than a solid change. It never made sense to limit players' access to artifact mods, more so if players are willing to put in the time to unlock everything. Fantastic change. As far as specific mods go, if I might have a whinge for a second, anti-barrier scout rifle and bow and glaive. Look, I hate the champion system. I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real honest. I'm a simple man, I like what I like. That said, I do understand how the champion mod system is a way for Bungie to constantly change the meta in a way that kinda sort of works to keep things fresh when replaying old content ad nauseum, which is, even after Witch Queen, for better or worse, going to be the bulk of endgame content, more specifically when we talk about Nightfalls. That said, personally, I'm not a fan of being forced to use certain weapons, never have been, never will be, so much for Bungie's play your own way. But moving forward to the content that people actually wanted me to talk about, the pondering of the Orby boys. I have no idea what that accent was, it was ridiculous is what it was. Quote, to take a little bit of pressure off your vault space, we are also making some adjustments to the way Masterwork arms work. Starting with the launch of Witch Queen, you can change the energy type of a fully Masterwork piece of armor for a much reduced cost. A fully Masterwork piece of legendary gear can be changed to another energy type for the cost of 10,000 Glimmer and 1 upgrade module, while a fully Masterwork piece of exotic armor can be changed to another energy type for the cost of 20,000 Glimmer and 1 upgrade module. The cost of changing a piece of armor's energy type before it's fully masterworked remains the same. This is a great quality of life change. I know that there are some of you out there with vault management issues. Not so much on my end, but I hear stories. I know what I'm about. But this is just a great change, especially for new players who have to suffer through the new player experience and may not have that much gear and or materials to constantly be changing things. So a flat change that makes it more accessible? Cool. And now to the bad news. Closing out, we are making a change to the way that Guardians create orbs of power with weapons. Elements of the new weapon crafting system will encourage you to use many different weapons and ask you to burn hard-earned Masterwork materials on weapons that you may only be using for a few hours, just to generate orbs. Now, just off the start, I already have a problem with this. Maybe I'm just weird. I mean, I did show you my Vault Senpai, but I don't go around spending the materials to Masterwork weapons I'm not going to use or haven't done a modicum of research on. I don't know, just me, maybe, I don't know. There's these things called resources on the internet, like GG, YouTube. I just investigate what weapon I'm looking at, what perks are best for it. And if I don't have those perks, and if I don't like it after I use it, maybe just maybe, I don't Masterwork it. Because generally I find the Masterwork doesn't make that much of a difference. So in my opinion, this comes off as an excuse, a way to spin this change to make the player base more receptive. But I digress. And Bungie continues. That seemed like a tall order. This combined with our desire to act on consistent feedback that players want to be able to generate orbs of power with exotic weapons that do not yet have catalyst, led us to the implementation we'll be using in the Witch Queen and beyond. Orb generation on weapon multi-kills will no longer be a function of a weapon's Masterwork status, but will instead be provided by a suite of armor mods, which we are unlocking automatically for all players and which will plug into the helmet armor socket. Each such mod will apply the orb generation effect to all weapons you have equipped of a particular damage type. So a single mod will cover multiple weapons in your arsenal if they share the same damage type. This also applies to a weapon that changes damage types like hard light or a kinetic weapon with osmosis. We will continue to create exciting exotic catalysts over the next few seasons, but in the meantime, you will be able to generate orbs with Cloud Strike, Thorn, Thunderlord, Teraba, and any other weapons in the game. Yeah, I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna be honest, I'm going to be real honest. So Bungie is framing this as a change that helps players, but really it just nerfs basically everything. What do I mean? Well, where do I start? First, the mod socket that these new armor mods are taking up are on the helmet. The helmet is one of the more crowded mod slot pools in the game. It's where all the targeting mods are for PvP, it's where all the ammo generation mods are for PvE. So if you want to use Orb of Light builds, this basically kills them, especially in PvE, where players should have a variety of weapon damage types, not just one. So now you're choosing between severely nerfed Orb of Power builds or heavy ammo in PvE, or nerfed builds in PvP and targeting mods. I get it, Bungie tried all these really nifty elemental well builds, and in order to add a new gimmick of mods like this to the game without breaking the game, they need to nerf Orbs of Power. This of course affects super regeneration and a whole slew of other things, basically slowing the game down. This whole "we're doing it for the player experience" is just a spin. Look what it did to the player experience. It nerfed Orb of Light builds. It forces a choice that's not a really good choice between heavy ammo or targeting mods and Orbs of Light, when they could have just not touched it or left it as is and put it as a mod on the Ghost. This was calculated and done purposely, not to enhance the player experience, but to slow the game down. All in all, there's some great changes here, but this Orb of Power one, it ain't it, Chief. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.